Hello guys. It's like 9 right now and I have a lot to be doing. I have a lot that I need to be doing, but I've decided to sit down and film a video that has nothing to do with anything that I need to do for today. And that video is March and April reading wrap up. Yes. Okay, so as you can see, I don't know how many books you can see right now, but this is my bookshelf of books, and it's pretty much filled of books. So you would probably assume that I read all the time. No, I don't. I don't read that often. I kind of go through phases of reading a lot and then not reading anything for like months on end, and then one day just picking up a book again and reading a lot. Right now I'm reading a lot for me. One of my book reading goal for this year is to read at least one book a month. So it's not 12 books. I don't want to read 12. My goal is not to read 12 books. My goal is to read at least one book a month. So far, I'm doing pretty good. I've read a book every single month up to this point. But with that being said, hopefully we're gonna make this video short. I know I said that in every video, but I mean it in this one because I don't have that much to say, I think. But our total tally for the months of February and March is, I think, 6 books. I only have 4 of them here because one of them I just don't own and the other I gave away. Spoiler. But yeah. Okay, so for the first book that I read, technically I started it in January, but I finished it in February because I started it very late January. But I'm still counting it as my January book because if not, then I already messed up my goal. But I don't care. It was my January book. It was Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, I think. It's the book that I gave away, which is kind of crazy. I picked up that book because, you know, I've heard so many good things about that book. And I was just like, okay, well, I want a book that I probably will like. Like, it's a guarantee that I'll like it. So I picked up that book. And literally, like, the day I started reading that book, I found out that the author was a Zionist. And then it took me out of that book completely. I did finish that book, but it was just like, it just kind of ruined how much I should have probably enjoyed that book. I think if I didn't know, or if maybe she wasn't a Zionist, I probably would have liked that book more. I feel like even if she wasn't a Zionist, I don't know if I would have related to that book the way everybody else was relating to that book. Because if you don't know, it's a book basically just about of unique relationships that aren't really portrayed in like main media, and the relationships and the dynamic between the people are just very interesting and not something that you normally see. So I understand why people were interested in that and just the ideas that it brings up and what it makes you think about. But me personally, I've never really experienced a lot of the relationships, and I didn't really have like an emotional tie to really a lot of the things that was happening. So I think I would have appreciated the book more, but I don't think I would have liked it much more than I do now. Unfortunately, it is what it is. I don't know. But yeah, so that was the first book I finished in February. And then the second book the second book was A Clockwork Orange. I mentioned that I read this in my book reading vlog like a few videos ago, but y'all didn't see me read this. Honestly, I think it was very interesting. I partially read this book because, again, the book YouTubers they're not book YouTubers, but they have a book podcast, Books Unbound. They read this book a long time ago, but I just recently saw the video of them talking about reading this book, and it was basically, they were talking about, you know, like having to go about the language of this book. And the way they were talking about it, I was like, that's really interesting. I really want to know what it's like to read in a language that like you don't know. Not even that you don't know, but it's just made up. So I found that part interesting, but also I found it interesting because when I first found out about this book, it was through my boyfriend right now, and it was probably the worst introduction somebody could have to A Clockwork Orange. I don't know what was running through his mind, but for some reason he decided that it would be a good idea to show me the movie. That was crazy. If you've never seen the movie, or if you don't know what this book is about, hey, intro the book maybe. This book is about a teenage guy in like a dystopian type world that's very similar to our world. But basically, the government and everything is kind of just haywire, and nobody really has a good grasp on criminals and just chaos. So, a lot of the teenagers and a lot of people just do heinous stuff without having much consequences. And the main character, the narrator in this book, he's 15 and he loves violence. He is a horrible person, and he's basically the leader of a gang. And it's just about everything that he does and his journey on, you know, becoming a better person. Whatever that means. But anyway, my introduction to this book was through the movie. And when my boyfriend showed me the movie, I didn't know anything. I had never heard about this book before. I didn't know anything. We sat down. I got through maybe 10 minutes of the movie. I could not handle it. And I was angry at him because I was like, what is wrong in your mind that would show me this movie with just absolutely no context? Are you crazy? I'm not even joking. Like, after I read this book, I was like, okay, I think I can give the movie a second chance again. We'll just see how it goes, if I like even really want to watch it. And I watched it, and I specifically remember where I stopped, like where my limit was. I won't say it because it was literally in his first night of just being a horrible person, like his first night of rampage. In the movie, it lasts maybe like 10 minutes. I couldn't even finish his first night of rampage. It was too much for me. But yeah, I literally made it like 10 minutes to do the first thing. And I made it halfway. I just haven't found time to finish it. I just haven't really cared to finish it lately. But I did make it further the second time, if that means anything. But in terms of the book, he gave me, this is his book. He gave me this book, and I was like, okay, I'll read it, and hopefully, you know, like I'll get a better grasp on it. And I finally just decided to pick it up. The language was honestly probably my favorite part. I love its effect that it has on the story, because I mean, it's very gruesome and horrific stuff that this guy is doing. He's a horrible person, like horrible. He's worse in the book. If you've seen the movie, it's worse in the book. It's worse in the book, obviously. Like, you can't show everything in the book. They tried to, but they had to change some parts. But he's a horrible person through and through. But it's interesting because the language that he uses, it's so foreign that when he talks and when he's describing things, you're not just only thinking about what he's talking about and what he's describing, but you're also thinking about what the hell he's saying. So you have to like read a sentence, then go to the little dictionary and be like, okay, what does this mean? And you're like, okay. And then you go back to the sentence, and you're like reading, and you don't know what he's saying, and you just have to do that over and over again. But the language is also just kind of funny. Like the way, like the words is funny when you say it like in an English accent. Like Malenki Hoogly. Like, I don't even know how to say that. But it's like just really weird words, and I'm like, what is he talking about? Like, what is happening right now? And then you like learn what the word's about, and then you like reread the sentence, and you're like, oh my god, he's talking about beating an old man to the brink of death. Oh, wow. And then it's just like, oh my god, what is happening? And yeah, but I do like this book, and I also found it interesting, like, because there, like, the whole introduction of this book was the author talking about how when he originally published this book in America, it ended with the movie version of the ending. It had, technically this book has two endings. I won't spoil the endings because I think it's kind of like an interesting topic on its own, but if you're wondering, I personally prefer the first ending rather than the second, just because I think it shows his true character better than the second ending. But it's interesting because the author never intended to end this book with the first ending. He was practically forced to end it with the first ending, in America at least. Everywhere else he published it with the second ending, the original ending. But in America, he had to shorten it. And honestly, I kind of agree with that. I mean, I don't like the way they went about it. They made changes to his artwork that were beyond his control. Like, he didn't have full control of his own art. So I don't appreciate that. But I think just overall, the second ending, to me, isn't as satisfying as the first ending is. Because the first ending truly shows who this guy is. And the second ending, I think it's just too easy. It's too easy. It's not genuine. And I hope that's not a spoiler. The first ending seemed more genuine and real compared to the second ending. And I think the author kind of realized that, because part of the reason why he was forced to put out the first ending was because the people that were publishing it felt like it was more true and more gritty and like a harder thing to come to terms with, but it was real. Like, it was just a fact, basically. And then the second ending, the author wanted to include it because he felt like it wrapped everything up. He felt that it would be easier for people to digest it with the second ending. And maybe that's true. Maybe the way that the narrator goes about going down the path that leads to the second ending, I just don't feel like it was actually genuine. And I think it was just too easy. It doesn't really spoil anything, because if you have this copy and you read the introduction, the author kind of just already tells you like how it ends, and you just don't know how it goes, how it gets to that point. So I'm not saying anything that the author didn't already say in the introduction before you read the book. But anyway, after that, I read Tender as the Flesh. This is the second book. Y'all saw me read this book, so if you're interested in like more in-depth summary, you can go ahead and watch that video. But just as a basic overview, this book is about, it's in a world where animal products had a virus, so nobody really has access to any animal at all, pretty much. But because of that, there's no animal meat. That leads to a world where cannibalism is now acceptable. But even though that's kind of the world, the book is really just about a guy navigating living in a world like that. And honestly, like, this book really wasn't what I was expecting, but I just didn't really know anything about the book going into it, so I was just like putting an idea together of what it might be about. I didn't really have much context to go off of, but I do really like the way this book went, and I just like the idea of somebody kind of trickling down into becoming one with society without spoiling it, I guess. Hopefully that's not a spoiler. I don't know. I have a full spoiled review in a different video. I'm trying not to put spoilers in this video, but I think I'm really bad at not saying spoilers, just because I don't really know what would be considered as a spoiler or not. I think it's really good. It's very interesting. And it is very gory. It's just, you know, what happens to animals at meat producing facilities. Basically, all of that happens to actual people. And then it's just about a guy that works in that facility and what that might do to him as a person, and how you go about living in a society where you don't fully agree with something, and what that may fold into. And I think that's really interesting. You may notice that I haven't done star ratings. I'm just not like a big fan of star ratings because I don't think they really mean anything, and I don't want people to be put off of star ratings just because they don't want to read a book that's like under 3 stars or under 4 stars. But it's like, it's so subjective. Like, I honestly don't really think it matters, but I say that mostly because my star ratings are very subjective and they don't really mean anything. Like, I'm literally just throwing a number out there. But if you do want a star review, I can't remember what ratings I gave the books in the video. I think I gave this one 4 stars or something like that. Now I think I'll give it probably like 3.5 if I were to rate it, just because I'd say 3 is probably like just a good book, something like a good book. I enjoyed reading it, but it probably won't stick like with me further in life. And then it's just a little bit better than that, so I'll say 3.5 stars. And then for A Clockwork Orange, I'll say 3.52, I think. So, I mean, the book is amazing. Maybe I'll give it 4 stars. Because, I mean, the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, I mean, it's actually very good. So, it is really good. I think the only reason why the movie affects me more is because I can actually see it, instead of trying to just piece together what is happening and then only kind of vaguely knowing what he's talking about and then not fully understanding it until like way later in the book. You know, if anything, if you've only seen the movie, I highly suggest that you read Clockwork Orange. Anyway, yeah, I'd give that a 4. I'd give this one a 3.5. I do like it, and I would recommend it, but I don't think it's a favorite. So, yeah. Moving on, I have this book, An Emotion of Great Delight by Tahereh Mafi. Tahereh Mafi wrote this entire series behind me, Shatter Me, which is a like dystopian YA romance type series. So it was very different from what this book is about, which is a fiction book about a Muslim family living in America in 2003. So it's just a very heartbreaking time in general for Arab or Muslim families, especially in America. It was right after 9/11, so there was still turmoil happening from that event. A lot of hate crimes happening against Muslim people. And then this book specifically was in 2003, so it was around the time that America declared war on Iraq. Like I said, this book was also in the reading vlog that I put out a little bit ago, so if you want a deeper summary, you can go over there. But I really, really, really like this book. I think out of the books so far, this one was my favorite, just because I was so interested. Like, these are the type of dynamics and relationships that I'm interested in. The dynamics and relationships that I don't see in main media. I think this feeling is what people get from Tomorrow, Tomorrow, Tomorrow. The feeling that I did not get from that book. This book gave me that feeling. This book showed me relationships that I never see. It made me think about aspects of relationships that I have and why I might feel the way I feel, or why other people might feel the way they feel. I love this book. I think it's so good. I think she did it so well. It shows depression, and it depicts the story of, you know, first generation communities that are in distress, not only in their home country but also in America. I'm not first generation, my mom is, so I don't really have that aspect of learning to be in a country that your parents are not from. And not only that, but also hearing news from your home country about your family that's still there and what they're going through. And it's all that build up, but it's on the shoulders of a teenage girl who's just trying to navigate it all. She's trying to navigate her religion, she's trying to navigate her family, she's trying to navigate grief and just puberty. She's like, I think she's like 13. No, she's not 13. She's not 13. I think she's in high school. She's probably like 13, 15, 16. I can't remember. But she's very young. Like, she really just needs a lot of help navigating life as a teenager would always need. But it's like in a time where it's hard for her to receive that help and to know that she needs that help and everything like that, right? So it's just such a good book, and I love the relationships that are in this book. Like, I love them. This is the dynamic that I needed from tomorrow, and I did not get. Okay, I think I have a grudge against tomorrow, but that's just my own bias. But this book, I love this book. I love this book, specifically the relationship that the main character has with her parents, and the way her parents are dealing with the same grief. It's too good. It's not good, obviously, but it's just, it really hits. It really just hits, and it says what needs to be said. So I'd give this book 4.5 stars. Definitely my favorite read out of the 3 so far. Love this book. Love this book. Okay, and then my next read was I'm Glad My Mother Died by Jennette McCurdy. I don't have the book. It was my sister's book that I just was reading while I was out of town. That book was insane. I mean, everybody's always saying, oh, that book was so good. Oh, it shows you like the true side of being a child actor. It's so good. But I never heard somebody say it was so good, but it was so traumatic. Obviously, I guess that's kind of a given based on like, I'm glad my mother died. We can start to piece together that it might be traumatic. But no, like, whatever you may piece together, it's worse. It's worse, okay? It gets so bad, and there's so much that happens, and I was expecting trauma. I was not expecting trauma to that degree, okay? Reading it, to me, I guess was more shocking to me than to the average person. I don't know, but I haven't seen somebody talk about that book and be as shocked as I am. But I mean, every time somebody would talk about that book, they would say how great it is, and they would praise her, which is well deserved. But nobody really talked about how deep it went. It goes so deep, and I just wasn't expecting that. I know I probably should have been, but I wasn't. But I mean, that kind of just goes to show just how deep she was in that trauma, and like how much she probably blocked out what was happening to her. It's insane. If you haven't read it and you're interested in the realities of what it's like to be a child actor, like genuine, the trauma and everything that goes behind it, I would say read it. I've heard that trigger warnings don't really help, but I don't actually know. So if trigger warnings do help you, I would say look at the trigger warnings. But if they just give you unnecessary anxiety, then I would say probably skip out the book, because it is very heavy on many different topics. So yeah, it's really good book though. This is where my star ratings come in though, where it's very apparent that they don't mean anything, because I really like that book, but like in terms of how much it's gonna stick with me, I mean, it's gonna stick with me. I feel like I'm gonna remember what happens, maybe, but I don't know. I'd say it was like a 4. If I'm being completely honest, I already forgot what ratings I gave the other books. So again, the star ratings that I have just don't mean anything. Please take it with a grain of salt, because genuinely, I don't even remember what I said. And then, for the final book of the video, final book of March, I actually finished this April 1st. So, it took me a while to read it. And it was Sunrise on the Reaping. I did make a whole separate video going into depth about what I thought about reading this book. I didn't film a reading vlog just because I could not I could not. No, I could not be. No. But I did film my thoughts afterwards, and honestly, there's just so much to say about this book that even though that video is, I think it's probably like 40 minutes long. I don't know if it's already out yet. I haven't edited it yet or anything, so, but it is filmed. But I filmed that video like twice, and even then I feel like I didn't say everything that I could have said. But honestly, like, I just don't think you could say everything that needs to be said about this book. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Like, apparently a lot of people didn't like the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I have been a huge Hunger Games fan ever since the movies came out. I wasn't a big reader though as a child, so I never read the books as a child, but I read the books like a few years ago and I really liked them. But whenever the Ballad of Songbirds song, I can't say that title. Whenever the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes came out, the book, I wasn't into reading then, so I didn't even know about it until I got into reading, and I was like, I found out that the Hunger Games had a different book. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll read it. And I think I did like it, but it didn't stick with me the way this book stuck with me. Like, oh my gosh, it's really weird though, because I read that whole book and I thought I really liked it. Like, I thought I understood it, but then whenever I went to watch the movie, I went to go watch it with my mom, and I was telling her the whole synopsis of what was happening, like what happened in the book, and I completely left out so many details, like so many important details of the book, and I don't know how I did that, but apparently it just did not stick with me as well as I thought it was. According to what I've seen online, a lot of people actually didn't like that book, which I didn't know about. I thought people liked that book, but no, a lot of people did not like it. A lot of people did not like Snow, which was fair, but a lot of people did like Snow, which was really confusing. But I think, honestly, I think Suzanne might have seen, she has to have seen all of those like fan edits that people made of Snow, and I feel like that part partially fueled her wanting to write this book, because if you didn't already hate Snow, which I don't know why you wouldn't have, but if for some reason the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes gave you a reason to like Snow, I don't know why it would have, but if for some reason it did, this book will crush all of that, because Snow, as he has always been, is a horrible person. Horrible person. He was never cute. He was never cool. He was never the good guy. He was always bad. And it's just proven time and time again. And I don't understand why people are ignoring that. But anyway, this book absolutely crushed me, which is like exactly what you would be expecting out of a book that is telling you the story of a man who has been an alcoholic and pretty much just depressed for the last 24 years of his life. I mean, just imagine what would happen. Like, what could happen to somebody that would make them do that? That's what this book is about. It's so heartbreaking, and I know a lot of people like it. I think this book is definitely better than the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I don't know about better, but it hits people more. But I think a lot of that is just because it's about a character that everybody loves. I think something that I like most about this book is just thinking about the contrast between why it worked out for Katniss and why it didn't work out for Haymitch. It's just like, I'm rereading the first Hunger Games right now, and it's like I've read the books before, but I didn't really remember them. But like, Katniss didn't ever plan on being a symbol of the rebellion until like the very end of the games. Like, maybe not the very end, but like until she was already in the games, she never thought, oh, I can be the one that dismantles this. I can be the one that takes this down. Like, this is my duty. Like, I need to do this. Like, I need to prove to people that we are people. Like, she was not the one that wanted to do that. Like, if anything, Peeta was the one who wanted to show the Capitol that he was more than just a pawn in their games, right? Like, Peeta spent a lot of his training time just figuring out how he wanted to die, because he wanted to die as himself and not as like somebody that they made him out to be. But Katniss, she makes it very clear that she really did not care about that. The only thing she cared about was protecting her family and making sure that they were okay. But she didn't care about the rebellion. I mean, she did, but she didn't think that she would be a part of that, let alone the face of the rebellion, until she was already in the games. But as opposed to Haymitch, who was pretty much thinking about being part of the rebellion as soon as his name was called. Haymitch knew that's what he wanted to do. Haymitch was planning on it. There was so much stuff in this book that like shows Haymitch wanted to actively take down the Capitol, and there were other people that wanted to take down the Capitol too, but for some reason it just didn't work out. And I'm not fully done with the first Hunger Games book yet, so I don't remember what happens and why that shift changes. But it's just crazy to see, because like fundamentally, if anything, Haymitch originally did more to fight against the Capitol and to start a rebellion. But like, I don't know, for some reason it just didn't work. For some reason, Katniss was the one who was the face, and whenever Katniss did it was the time that it worked out. And for some reason it just took 24 years for that to happen, and it's just devastating having a character that tried to lead his own rebellion just have to live in purgatory for the next 24 years until somebody else got lucky enough to do what he was trying to do. Like, it's just like, why did it work out for her and not him? I don't understand. I don't understand. There's just so much that could be said. It's also just sad because Katniss already had so much knowledge when she went into the games, and she had already learned how to survive by herself. Like, she knew skills, she knew what she was good at, she could survive, she had to survive. And Haymitch didn't really have that yet. Like, he was still just a kid, and he was brute force shoved into this, and he tried his absolute best to grow up fast enough within like the few days that he had before the games, understand what was happening and understand the people that were around him and understand the rebellion and what he could do. Like, he tried so hard, and he had such little knowledge to begin with. It was just, it's so sad. So sad. But it's just a reminder of like everybody who tries so hard to fight their history and who never really get to see it pay off. I mean, luckily Haymitch did get to see the fall of the Capitol, but it took forever, and a lot of people in real life don't get that justice, even if, you know, they were part of the rebellions themselves. So I just feel like people kind of dipped in their confidence with Suzanne Collins when the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes came out. But this book, she came back and she proved once again that she knows exactly what she's doing, and she will do it extremely well. Like, extremely well. I love this book. I love this book. It's so good, and it really just, oh my gosh. I'm really interested to see what they do with the movie. Hopefully it's done well. I'm pretty sure it will be, but oh my gosh. It hurts. It hurts. Oh my gosh, it hurts. I can't. But yeah, so once again, like, the Hunger Games is just a modern classic. I don't know how you get around, like, you can't get around it. It's just amazing. But anyway, yeah, so that is my last book of my February and March wrap up. It was 6 books, but 6 books more than I read at this time last year. So either way, it's a pretty good success in my eyes. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope that was a little bit interesting. I'm gonna try and get out the videos that I have filmed. I have like 2 or 3 other videos filmed or partially filmed, and not including this one. So I'm going to try and put them out a little bit more consistently because I have not been doing that. But again, my videos are just so long. I don't know why I talk so much. But anyway, on that note, I'm gonna stop it right here. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what books you read in the February-March month, and tell me if you like them. Tell me what you think about the books that I read. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.